It's time to look at the next step for Jeff Hafley and the Miami Dolphins. We have a new head coach. Well, who is Hafley going to fill this coaching staff with? That's the biggest question, right? Who's going to be the offensive coordinator for Miami in 2026 and hopefully beyond? Who is going to be the defensive coordinator? We have some names linked to the positions already. We'll take a look at that and more options for Hafley. But I do want to start with saying this. 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Thursday. John Eric Sullivan, the new GM, and Jeff Hafley, the new head coach, are going to have a joint press conference. They'll get asked questions about the hiring process, the vision for the team. We hopefully will learn if Hafley will call defensive plays as head coach for the Miami Dolphins. There will be a lot to learn from this. I wanted to share this information here. But we'll have you covered every step of the way like we have this entire offseason so far. And we're on the doorstep, 179 subscribers away from 80,000. Join the channel because we're not going anywhere this offseason. We'll have you updated with the latest on the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator search. I do want to start here with one quick thing, though, and that is Jeff Hafley's ability to have connections around the NFL, because I know that is a concern of Dolphins fans out there. Well, I want to make note that he has worked under Matt LaFleur. He has worked under Kyle Shanahan for a couple years in San Francisco. So to me, he will be able to pull from the Shanahan tree, the LaFleur tree, maybe even the McVay tree, because there's a lot of similarities there. Like, I'm actually not that concerned with Hafley's ability to fill out a coaching staff. It's just all about picking the right people. But he will have access to a lot of rising young potential coordinators and coaches across the NFL. But the two names that we have heard the most on social media and talking to some other people as well is Jason Vrable, who is the pass game coordinator for the Green Bay Packers as a potential OC candidate, and Tem Lukabu, the Jaguars linebackers coach, as a potential defensive coordinator with the Miami Dolphins. We're going to talk about these guys on today's show, and we're going to start with the offensive side of the ball. Who is Jason Vrable? I think this is a name that it will start to heat up for between him and Miami. He's 40 years old. He's from South Park, Pennsylvania. He has an extensive coaching background, 6 years college football, and then joined the Buffalo Bills organization in 2013 as an assistant. He's been in the NFL ever since. And then he joined Matt LaFleur in Green Bay in 2019 as an offensive assistant, and he has held 4 different roles in the last 6 to 7 seasons with the Green Bay Packers. He's been the wide receiver coach, coaching up Devontae Adams, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, then adds pass game coordinator to his title in 2022, where he then became the full-on only role that he has in 2024, and he held that in 2025. Like, I don't mind Jason Vrable because he's learned under Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, knows how to operate the LaFleur, Shanahan, McVay type of offense, which has obviously been wildly successful in the NFL. But I do have a little bit of a concern if Vrable ended up being the guy. Because when you think about Miami hiring Hafley, right? Yeah, he's been a head coach at Boston College, but he's never been a head coach in the National Football League. And it is massively different. And since he is defensively minded and might be calling plays, might not be, we'll have to see. It would be a bold move, in my opinion, to hire an offensive coordinator with no play calling experience in the NFL. That is a concern. Or just play calling experience in general. It's a bold move. Is it going to be a disaster if they choose to do that? I don't know. We'll have to see. But it certainly adds more variance to me of a potential successful offense in Miami, because you might have an offensive coordinator that you think is a good offensive mind, and he might be. But if he's a bad play caller and has a bad feel for the game, it could be a disaster. And I want you to make the call for me. Would you hire a first-time offensive coordinator if you are Jeff Hafley? Type Y for yes or N for no. I'll say this. I'm not against it. Like, if you hire the right guy as a first-time play caller, it could very easily work out. But it certainly is not my preference. And I think for Hafley, he should strongly consider going with someone that has experience calling plays in the NFL. Like, outside of Vrable, I have 8 names that I think could fit as offensive coordinator in Miami. And I have these 8 names there because of connections to Jeff Hafley and potential rising coaches in the NFL. The coaches with stars next to their name, 5 of them here, have never called plays before in the NFL or college football. Obviously, Bobby Slowik called plays for Houston 2 years. Lou Getsy called plays with the Chicago Bears. Brian Dable called plays both with the New York Giants and Buffalo Bills in his career. But we've seen Nate Scheelhaus be connected, the Rams pass game coordinator, to a lot of head coach openings. Steve Shimko has been linked to Hafley. And we've seen some other names as well. Sean Mannion, rising coordinator and coach, quarterback coach in Green Bay, former NFL quarterback. He's an interesting guy. But if you ask me who I want to be the offensive coordinator for Miami, I could come around to any of these 9 names we've discussed so far on today's show, but I really want Bobby Slowik, who was on the coaching staff for Miami this season, because he's still young, 38 years old. He's already had 2 years of experience calling plays in the NFL and had a real successful season in his first ever year calling plays with Houston in 2023 with a rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud. Like, did it ultimately end up going well? No. They did win a playoff game. Remember, they beat Cleveland in 2023. They were a top half offense in passing, total yards, and points per game. And yeah, it fell off a little bit in his second season, but Stroud didn't play as well in year 2 as he did in year 1, which I don't think you could blame fully on Bobby Slowik. The offensive line talent went down a little bit as well. Like, I think Bobby Slowik deserves another chance. Am I going to claim he's going to be an elite offensive coordinator in his second time around? No, maybe he does actually stink. But I don't think we saw enough of Slowik in Houston negatively to tell you that he doesn't deserve another chance. He has familiarity with a lot of the offensive personnel that Miami already has and will be bringing back, like Patrick Paul, like Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle. So that could be very helpful for Jeff Hafley as he comes in and evaluates the offensive personnel Miami has, and he has experience in the past. I wouldn't mind someone else that Hafley has better connections with, but Slowik is a really good option, and he worked with Hafley opposite sides of the football, but in San Francisco for a couple of years with Hafley. I think it makes a lot of sense to go with Bobby Slowik. New sponsor alert here at Dolphins today, and that is Marsmen. Fellas, is there a time where you feel like you're losing it? Same workout, same diet, but you feel like you were moving through the mud? One day you're crushing it, next day you're wondering why everything feels twice as hard. Well, what if I told you there is a way to get back to having stronger physical performance? That's where Marsmen comes in. It's designed to help free lock testosterone so your body can actually use it. No synthetics, no needles, just real ingredients that help optimize energy, focus, and strength, supports healthy T levels, energy, and stamina. Comes in a real sleek design right here, easy storage, just pop the capsules and, well, there you go, folks. Made in the USA and third-party tested. 90-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk. Worst case, you don't absolutely love it and you get your money back, but over 91% of users report higher energy levels. For a limited time, our listeners get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gifts at mengotomars.com. It's a perfect way to kick off the new year strong. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and 3 free gifts at checkout. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Who is Tem Lukabu, the potential frontrunner for the Dolphins defensive coordinator position? I think this one has a lot more merit to it than Vrable, and maybe Vrable is the next offensive coordinator for Miami. But I think it's more likely that Tem Lukabu is the defensive coordinator for Miami than Vrable is the offensive coordinator, because the connection here between him and Hafley is just way stronger. So, Lukabu, 44 years old. How about this? From the Democratic Republic, Congo. That's electric. Current Jacksonville Jaguars linebacker coach, so worked with Anthony Campanelli this past year in Jacksonville, someone who worked underneath Jeff Hafley in 2024. And Lukabu has worked under Hafley Also, in the past, 2020 to 2022, 3 years, he was the Boston College defensive coordinator. So you might ask, well, how was the defense in BC under Lukabu? Well, how about this? In his final season at Boston College, they ranked top 50 nationally in many different defensive categories: first downs allowed, passing yards allowed per game, and tackles for loss. In 2021, the Eagles ranked third nationally in passing yards allowed per game and top 30 nationally in 6 other defensive categories. And in his first season at Boston College, Lukabu oversaw a defense that jumped over 50 spots in the rankings. So I'm not going to act like the raw numbers are absolutely elite, but it's because Boston College didn't have a lot of talent and they were always battling from behind in those games. But we saw improvement from before Lukabu was there to when he got there. So to me, I think it makes a lot of sense for him to maybe get a shot as a defensive coordinator in the National Football League. And it's not like he has just been with Hafley at Boston College. No, he was with Hafley as well in San Francisco. I'm going to utilize these 3 years, 2016, 2017, 2018 in San Francisco. That's when Hafley was there. That's when Bobby Slowik was in San Francisco. Heck, that's when D'Amico Ryans was there as well. Talk about a defensive staff in San Francisco. But Lukabu bounced around in a couple times in college, has been the linebacker coach in Cincinnati, Jacksonville, outside linebacker coach in Carolina, a lot of experience at the collegiate level, at the NFL level, and has also had experience manning an entire side of the ball, albeit in college, as a defensive coordinator and play caller. So this hiring makes a lot more sense to me than a potential Vrable that we talked about earlier on in the show. So what say you? Should Miami hire Tem Lukabu as defensive coordinator? Type H for hire or P for pass. A couple other candidates that I do want to mention outside of Lukabu, though. Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins defensive coordinator. If he doesn't get a head coaching job, well, guess what? Hafley and Weaver worked together for 2 seasons in Cleveland, 2014 and 2015. So maybe there is a chance Weaver ultimately returns. I also think DeMarcus Covington's an intriguing option. Former DC of the Patriots in 2024, working under Hafley this past year in Green Bay. You've also seen some other names linked to Green Bay and Hafley here. Sean Duggan, a big name to monitor, Packers linebackers coach. But if we're going to be honest here, guys, I wouldn't be mad if Anthony Weaver stayed with Miami. Because when you think of what Weaver does as a defensive coordinator, it is relatively similar to what Hafley wants, right? Hafley, when you watch the Packers defensive tape and film over the past couple of years, a lot of simulated pressures, a lot of disguised blitzes and looks, similar to what Anthony Weaver has done in Miami the past 2 seasons. And I think Weaver would be able to adapt Hafley's preferences with a defense to his potential defense. Now, if Hafley wants to call defensive plays, there's obviously no chance that Weaver comes back because he would be returning and get a demotion. Why? And he would just go somewhere else to be a defensive coordinator or on a different staff in all likelihood. But if Hafley doesn't want to call plays, then I think he could trust Anthony Weaver, who obviously has a lot of knowledge with the personnel in Miami already on the defensive side of the ball. Those young guys are already used to the way Weaver coaches. They love him. That is well known. Weaver is a player's coach. Everybody likes him. So I could see Weaver staying. If not, though, I am intrigued with DeMarcus Covington since he has called plays as a defensive coordinator in the past. And you see in the bottom of your screen the type of defense that Jeff Hafley likes to run. I actually think we're going to do a video over the next week or so about Jeff Hafley's defense, especially if we find out he's going to be calling plays and what you guys should need to know, because it has been a top half defense in the NFL the past 2 years in Green Bay. That'll do it for today's episode. More Dolphins news and rumors coming your way every single day, so make sure you join the channel now.